ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराज्यं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पद आनशृण्वन्नोदिभिः सीदसादनं महागणपतये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Hari Om. Students, welcome back to another interesting session. But this session is actually going to be done by our Kishore Ji, who's also a chess coach and a very passionate student of astrology, of Vedic astrology. So, in this session, he is going to let you know what he found out when he did some research on philanthropist. He was fascinated by this attitude in human beings. Why is it that some people choose to give so much away? What is that? Is there an astrological reason why it's happening? Obviously, there must be. For something as big as this, there must be an astrological combination in the horoscope. Otherwise, maybe people can still do it without even a combination by just listening to a teacher, a guru. But that's something else we can discuss later. But in today's session, Kishore is just going to talk about what he discovered. And you don't have to look into the dictionary to know what is the meaning of the word philanthropist, because everybody knows it, because everyone loves good people in this world. So philanthropist, as you all know, is the one who does charity as a nature, as their own nature. It's not because they have some vested interest in it. It's basically something that comes out naturally, the feeling that I got to help others. So this is about goodness and godly qualities. So obviously you can guess it must be the ninth house primarily, and maybe Jupiter is the key to understanding this combination, because Jupiter happens to be the lord of the ninth house in Kalapurusha. And ninth house, you all know, is the house of Dharma. Dharma is not actually just donation. Dharma is the right way. The right way is to help people think about the welfare of this world, and that's what philanthropists are always doing. And so what other chart should we discuss first other than Lord Sri Rama's horoscope? And in this horoscope, you can see that the Lord of the ninth is exalted with a Swakshetra moon in its own house. But all this happens in Lagna. Oh my God. So you can't find a better horoscope than this. So Lord Sage Vasishtha told Rama, earn as much money as you can, O Rama, because only money in the hands of good people can be of any use to this world. So it's a combination of wealth yogas, because first you need to have wealth with you. You need to be having that resource, and only then you can be a philanthropist at least. Okay, so there are good ways and bad ways of making money. And obviously, if you go through the lords of houses in different houses, I'm sure you can see many combinations for charity and many combinations for being wicked and cunning. So it is better that at the end of this video, after watching this video, please go through the lords of houses in different houses in Brihat Parashara Horashastra, and then try to relate to what Kishore Ji is has said in this video. So over to Kishore Ji. Welcome.
So today's topic is related to something which is very rarely seen among humans. Taking birth as a human is itself a very difficult and very rare karmic effort. It takes a lot of effort to be born as a human being. And something even rarer happens by way of the nature. The human beings are endowed with good qualities. So please let me know if I'm audible before I go into the presentation and if I'm clear enough. Anybody can unmute and say whether I'm audible and clear.
You're very clear.
Yes, all good.
Thank
All
you.
good. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So, as you're all aware, I'm not sure if people were there in the last few sessions. I had informed Guruji that I was doing a research, a very small statistical research on this rare quality of human beings, which even I would say is difficult to find even in the most richest of the people on planet Earth. And this rare quality is known as philanthropy, or the helping tendency, the helping nature. How many of us would stop by and give a thought to a person who is struggling? When we have been walking on the street, we see people struggling. We see people who are not able to manage their finances. Of course, with the blessings of our Guruji, we are now turning inwards and we are looking at the donation as a part of a karmic remedy or as a part of an awakening. We have been awakened to this fact that we are not here for ourselves. We are here for the sake of helping other people, probably in their karmic difficulties, in their obstacles that they are facing. The help can be rendered in many ways, right? So let's get at the root cause of our today's discussion. The discussion stands on the topic of philanthropy and how to get this philanthropy or this element of philanthropy from the birth chart, the natal chart, that is the D1 chart, and the other Varga charts, which every astrologer should be aware of and should be using on a day-to-day basis. We normally tend to look at the D1 chart most of the time, right? To look at important dignities, to look at the general quality of the charts, but to look at the higher qualities. For example, in today's discussion, the highest quality of a human being, I would say, is the act of helping, act of charity, act of virtue, act of philanthropy, act of sharing. How many of us are endowed with that quality? How many of us have been receiving help from others? How many of us have given help to others? Of course, we all have done small acts of charity, random acts of kindness. But can we say, or can we see from the birth chart, whether it is seen in the birth chart of the native, and how? What are the algorithms? Okay, remember this point that to be born as a human being itself requires a lot of effort, karmic effort. And on top of that, to lead a normal life, the chart should be good enough. To help people in the family, inside your own family, your own inner circle, there also the chart should be good. Then to help and reach out the outer circle, the chart should be powerful. The strength should be there. And then to go beyond the inner, the outer, and to reach society at large, to reach the state, to reach your district, your state, or your country. Imagine the amount of power that your chart needs to have, the natal chart. How to get a reading of this? How to get a bearing of this enormous power? So to make all of you understand how I stumbled upon this, I came across an article talking about Paul Newman, a very famous American actor, and he was known for his philanthropic acts. At that time, I was not aware that we could search for philanthropy, but one thing that struck me when I saw his chart was the phenomenal placement of Jupiter in all the Varga charts, at least the major ones. And what are the major ones that we are considering today, or we're going to consider today, would be the Navamsha, of course, the queen of all the charts. And then we're going to consider Drekana. We're going to consider Saptamsha, Dashamsha, and of course D60, Shashti. So without taking too much time, I think we can start with the presentation. And before that, if anybody wants to say something, I request you all to please raise your hands. And if you have any questions, before we do the deep dive, please let me know if you have any questions about today's topic or in general regarding today's session on philanthropy. You might want to raise your hands. I don't know if the session is mute all and unmute with permission, or is it free to unmute? Yes, Gunaji, you can speak.
Yeah, thank you for this. Is a wonderful topic, and the way you have framed it. And in Upanishad, often it is said like Purva Rupam, Uttara Rupam, Sandhi, Sandhanam, in that sequence. The way you have put it very, very well, having the family support and having the current dasas at the time of birth, and a number of things that matter. And I'm really intrigued, and I'm excited right now to listen to you.
Thank you, Gunaji. Anybody else wants to speak? Kasiji, I would like to hear your perspective. Are you able to unmute?
Yeah, Kishore.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think it's certainly a wonderful topic.
Okay.
I think, like you said, a deep dive beyond D1 will give a very good picture. Okay. And certainly, as you illustrated, the chart of Paul Newman would be a very good chart to even take a look at.
Okay. So before I go further into the presentation, Guruji and me had a small talk together in the morning or in the afternoon, I think. And since the topic was a bit elaborate, and even the material presented was elaborate, so Guruji suggested that we first do a snapshot, and then we split this research into multiple sessions. So I'm also having this idea in my mind. I probably need to just get the kickstart, the kickstart thing to happen today. And whenever Guruji deems fit, we will go into it. We'll revisit this topic again. It could probably be next week or the week after that. Depends on Guruji's agenda also. So that is one thing. And second thing, an interesting thing I would like to share with all of you, that the more deeper I went into it, I found that there were common patterns or common algorithms which kept repeatedly coming up in the charts. So it was more of no, Gunaji, it was Paul Newman, N-E-W-M-A-N. So it was more of a discovery and a journey, So basically today's session is more about inviting all of you into this journey, this adventure together. We're exploring something which is mysterious, which has not been explored before, probably, or at least if I may speak for myself, and I speak for most of my fellow travelers who have joined my batch. I'm not aware about the previous batches, so I can't speak much for others, but definitely it is an adventure. It gives me goosebumps. And there is something called as a proof of concept, a theory called the proof of concept. If Gunaji can explain that, I would be really happy. What is the meaning of proof of concept? Anybody, even Kasiji can chip in.
In the case of technical things, the way we deal with proof of concept is that whatever is the bare minimum with the very reduced sets of assumptions, we try to build a prototype, and we show that it works. Extremely controllable and no extraneous informations. Oftentimes it has to be directly relevant and simple. Okay. That's the way we think of an engineering side. I don't know how we can explain in the broader philosophical discussion.
Okay, let's no, even to come from the material point of view, the proof of concept tells us that if something works, then the opposite of that something should not work. Will that be also considered as a proof of concept?
That is the reason why it has to be extremely simplified sets of assumptions. Yes or no. Is it satisfied? Is it not satisfied? That's the way to pick the example.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I faced a few stumbling blocks, a little bit of confusion initially, and then I had to dig deeper into it. And I found some amazing patterns, some amazing connections, interesting connections. And I was still not convinced, actually.
I want to make just my thought here.
Okay.
About your last statement. If something works, the opposite should not work. That is not necessarily true. Okay.
Okay.
Unless you do a test for that.
I'm coming to that part now. This was the most interesting point that we call it as a test by fire, or a fire test, right?
That becomes more like a lab test. The NIH follows a golden standard for medicine. For that, we have the control category, like Kaushikji says.
Okay.
But the proof of concept is even earlier, before we even embark on a very exhaustive testing protocol, and it takes time.
Correct.
So, therefore, the people who give the idea needs to give it in its extremely simplest form, so that we pick about a dozen or two, try to see, does it satisfy? Within the satisfied category, is it clear cut to be able to decide, does it work or does it not work in places where it shouldn't be?
Yeah. Okay, so that makes a valid point, both Kasiji and Gunaji. I would be referring to both of you in times of difficulty. And I would also like, this is not something that is personal. It's not mine. It is something that I would like to share with you, both as a journey, as an adventure. I may be right, I may be wrong, but the markings on the wall is clear. So I want all of us to have this journey with like a childlike approach. Oh, wow. Guruji always says that. You see, when you learn astrology, always have that wow approach. That teaches us a lot of things. Now, when people tell us that the most benefic planet is Guru, is Brihaspati or Jupiter, we say, yeah, okay, fine. But to see the impact that Jupiter does or has in the natal charts, and to see how strong it emanates from the chart, it radiates, so to say. It's like comparing a AA, a AAA battery, and then comparing the battery that's in the UPS, and then comparing the battery that's in the inverters, and then the huge ones, the industrial batteries. That much of a difference that Jupiter, the dignity of Jupiter bestows on the native. So the concept is very simple. If the dignity of Jupiter, to put it in a simple line, if the dignity of Jupiter is good for a native, a few things can be stated, that he is good, his family would be good, and as far as his material concerns are concerned, they would all be well endowed, generally speaking, right? Now, here comes my assessment and my statement. If he is good in just the D1 and nothing spectacular in the Varga charts, then only he gets the benefit of the Jupiter. And what is the benefit you're talking about? The sattvic energy of Jupiter. Now, if the Jupiter dignity starts spreading to other charts, the other Varga charts, say 2 or 3, then we would say that probably he's good. He earns a decent amount of money. There's no lack of money. There's no lack of knowledge. He is well learned and is able to sustain his family, right? So most of us, we have varying levels of Jupiter's energy in our charts. And likewise, not all of us are equally in the same strata in society. Some are highly placed, some are there, and some are still to reach. So I think by now, it would be very apt to say that you would have got an inkling of what I'm trying to say about Jupiter and philanthropy. Okay, why is philanthropy so difficult? Why is charity so difficult? I would like everybody to participate. If anybody wants to say something about this, please raise your hands. I would be only too willing to grant the stage. Yes, Jitesh ji.
I think one of the primary reasons is that our whole world is centered in ourselves. For the most part, we cannot see anything outside of us. And people who cross that boundary start looking at people around them and society in general at large. And even after that, people who think a bit more and are more sensitive about that, then maybe end up into charity. That distance is huge. Most of us are kind of bothered with our own needs and let's say even maybe our friends and family at most. Beyond that, we have had experiences. Maybe we have not been helped by others. Maybe we have our own grudges. Whatever the reason, like our kind of comfort zone lies within ourselves and maximum to our family and friends in general. That's why charity becomes kind of a rare act.
Almost on the verge of statistically being one in 100 or 1 in 1,000, right?
Yeah, that varies, but yes, very, very, unlikely event actually, very rare events, yes.
Okay.
So,
Gunaji, yes, Kasiji.
Yeah, I'll let speak first. Kashiji say something.
Go ahead, Gunaji.
Okay, I think the awareness needs to come, even if we have good intentions to help, because we have been taught by the teachers and parents, whatever. The awareness and alertness needs to be there. And that's the number one factor where most of the time we come back and say, gee, I wish I helped him at that time, things like that. Second is the fear of the future, worrying about, I wouldn't want to call it as greed. People keep possessing and keeping without even bothering to share with others. It's partly because of the fear of the future. If we only allow ourselves saying, the cup will be filled if it is emptied. And if that confidence comes, it'll be good. Lately, I've been really dwelling myself onto this thing, saying, why is Kamadhenu is very different? Why are we having the Amada Surabhi, Kamadhenu? And why is it that even though Shakti is with Shiva, Gauri is in his head, that flowing the water? Whether people ask or not, it's being giving all the time. It's an interesting way of looking at it. And why people don't give is because of the lack of, why good people don't give is because of the lack of awareness.
Yes. So can we say that to give is something that we need to first be aware of?
Yes, that is where that beautifully that you put it that way, and I like it, that in Upanishads, time after time, the chants always starts with Purva Rubam, Uttra Rubam, Sandhi, Sandhanam. That is the way the Upanishad, the chants often comes like, the fire is the initial form, and then Agni is the next form, and then Santi, Santanam. Like the seed has to have the potential. Somebody need to sow the sand and soil and sow the seed. Rain has to come in the right time. The sun has to come in the right time, and then the sprouting will occur. Okay. Otherwise, the Sandhi, that is the Sandhi is where that the awareness occurs. Very good quality people, if they don't have the money at the time they are feeling their opportunity, it won't help. But if they have the money, and if they had the virtue, and if they don't have the alertness at that right time, it won't work either.
So do you think that merely having money at your disposal, our disposal, too much of money, I would say. Would that be a positive sign, or would that help
No.
in
I think
charity? Yes,
I
please.
think we should probably go to the foundational concept of this, right? When you say that charity is rare, I tend to kind of disagree with that. I think that if you go to the fundamental objectives of life, the Purushartha, right? There is a Chaturvida Purushartha that is stated in our scriptures, right? And the first of them actually, although the recommended order is different, but the first that is stated is Artha, okay? Means a sense, human beings by nature, they're born with a sense of insecurity and they want to develop that sense of security. Okay, that security could be in various forms. It could be physical security, it could be emotional security, it could be financial security, etc. Right? They want to somehow build that sense of security. A time comes when they build that sense of security, and then they tend to see, okay, what is it that I can do for some others also to build this security, right? That is the dharma portion of it, doing the right things. And charity is one of them, by the way. It's not the only thing, right? And then there is the third thing where karma comes into play. When I have so much of sense of security, how can I satisfy my desires, right? That is the third thing. But all these things that we are doing, the three things that we are doing, is in chase of only one objective, that is happiness. Okay, without that happiness, anything that we are doing is irrelevant, right? That is the ulterior motive of human beings. That is where the fourfold objective comes, which is moksha, because you realize that none of these three really give you that level of happiness which is true and inborn in you. Okay. So the Chaturvida Purushartha actually collapses into Ekavida Purushartha, which is moksha. But coming to this point of dharma, what I was trying to say is that this element of charity is there in everybody. Okay. How it is prioritized, how it comes out in a particular stage of life, etc., that varies quite a lot. So it has very little relevance.
Okay, what would be the cause for charity spreading away from the individual towards the family, towards the extended family, and then the society? What do you think would be the main cause for this? Do you think there's a single cause, or do you think there are multiple causes?
No, ultimately it is a realization of the Purushartha. Everything boils down to that. It doesn't matter. See, once it comes to charity, right, or once it comes to the very fact that you're saying is it's kind of an oxymoron to say that charity for the family or charity for loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. That's why we say, right, we don't pray for myself or my brother or my family or this community for that matter, right? We pray for the entire being to be in harmony.
Yeah, but the general layman, when he goes to the temple and he offers prayers, the first thing that he wishes the gods or the goddess is grace to himself, to his family, immediate family. And then he goes about, if he's interested in the others' upliftment, then he includes everybody later on, right? I'm talking about a normal
level of bhakti.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. So when we say charity, it's not, I didn't mean charity in the sense like donating at home, of course that is not going to be any meaningful context, but taking care of people at home.
But why not? Why not? That is my question. Why not?
Yeah, but taking care at home is because you're familiar with them. You're having this small family of yours and you're familiar with them, and you like to, make sure that all of them are in a good state. So that comes naturally. But to go beyond the familiar faces and to go and have this empathy for people who are not in no way connected to you, that would be a rare quality.
Yes, empathy comes it gets realized right away at awareness level, but the next step of acting and reaching out and trying to do something to people, that depends on being resourceful, being aware at that time, being spontaneous. That's where I think Kashiji is making a right point that Artha, you got to have resource and you got to be, in addition, you need to fundamentally have the altruism. I was coming in the second angle saying, even those people, good-hearted people who make money, often don't do charity at the right time. And then they go around giving millions of dollars at the end. What is the point at the end of giving during death time instead of giving throughout the life, living at a way that you inspire others to multiply? That's the discussion I'm having.
Okay.
But he made a good point. Artha is an immediate first axis. We have to get over that. That is, get both resourceful and be not afraid of sharing. When you share, you diminish your resource, and you should not be afraid because you will be given, and that confidence needs to come, like Kamadhenu does.
Okay, a small point that we all need to ponder is, do we need to be well off, leading a comfortable life, to do charitable acts? Yes, Jiteshji.
That's exactly what I was raising my hand for. So some people donate their time, right, and do charity and raise millions of dollars, not from their own pocket, but as a collective effort, kind of, crowd sharing or whatever you can call it. So you don't have to be physically well off yourself. If you have the inclination to do something for others, that alone will, will take you a long way. You may be able to generate resources. You may be able to, inspire others to share. It doesn't matter. But I think whether you have wealth or not, you still will need that disposition. That alone will take you, whether you have wealth or whether you have clothes or ornaments or whatever you're doing, whether you're teaching someone as charity, whether you are, taking some art classes as charity, whatever that is. It's a function of that mentality and then that willingness. And beyond that, of course, if you have wealth, wealth drives everything, right? Even if you have inclination, you will need to get people involved and then somehow get the money to get things done, right? So wealth is there obviously as a means to an end, but wealth will not be an end in this case. If you have that mentality, you will be able to rally people to the cause and get stuff done. That's what I feel.
Okay, so you're talking about different types of charity or philanthropy, but
absolutely,
yeah. And then there's this question that I asked, whether being well off is the most important criteria to do charity, or do you think that this act of charity is not connected or not linked with your wealth? Because the reason I say this is, let me put it in proper perspective. I've been watching videos where people, the YouTubers, they go to random people, they ask them, can I have $1 or half a dollar? I need to travel. I need to, they ask them just like that as an experiment, a social experiment. They ask people who are downtrodden, who are on the streets, homeless. And these people, most of them, they are parting away just like that. Without a second thought, they're taking their pocket, emptying their pocket and giving away whatever money they have. They could be having just $2 and they'll say, okay, here, take it. And then this person asks, what, you don't need the money? You're giving me $2? And then he says, yeah, everybody needs. And I've been there. I understand your pain. So please take this money. And then the YouTuber rewards them by saying, here's $500 for you, or here's $1,000 for you. But anyway, that was not the point. The point is, even the most downtrodden can have this empathy for others. So I believe giving starts with empathy. Giving starts with the sattvic guna. I call empathy as the highest sattvic guna, feeling for others, feeling of pain, feeling of oneness. So coming back to our discussion about Jupiter, this study that I did, or the small study that I did, or small research, statistical research, only proves that Jupiter is the most benefic of all the grahas. Okay, why should we prove it? Rishis have already told it. But rishis have told so many things, right? So if one statement of theirs gets validated, it means that there is something. That is the reason I was saying it was an adventure, it was a journey. And yes, Sampatji.
Kishore, why we are narrowing it down to Jupiter?
Oh, that's a good question. The reason I am narrowing it down to Jupiter is because I saw Jupiter being the main factor. It could be that Jupiter was trying to, say something through the charts, and I was able to, be there at the right time. In fact, when I saw one of the charts, that is when it triggered this thought in my mind, and I said, let us do it and see. And I was also totally at dark, I was wondering whether it's going to work or not, whether the algorithms, the patterns, they're going to work. I was just like shooting in the dark. And slowly when the data got assimilated, got placed in a particular place, and I was able to see it.
Right. Why I asked that, Kishoreji, is immediately two things came to my mind. One is sun and moon. If sun is going to be very strong, I might be wrong. My perception, that person might be a leader, will be taking care of a mass, right? And moon being mostly related to mother and thing, who better than a mother or a parent who are selfless other than everybody else, right? So that's the reason I was just thinking.
I mean, the quickest reply I can think of, my conscious brain, is that the sun need not necessarily be a staker for philanthropy.
Okay,
so that is one thing. And second thing, moon being the fastest graha may or may not work in most of the charts. Okay, the Jupiter being a slow-moving graha and being a very powerful graha, which influences 3 houses, has more chances of reaching out to the native in all spheres of life, because we've been discussing about not just the philanthropy, but who can be philanthropic. So whereas moon is only connected with, I think, 2 houses, I suppose. So if that is the case, I mean, the speed of the graha, the impact that the graha does, and the overall reputation that a graha has, like, of course, if I were to say that Saturn is going to be the most philanthropy causing or the trigger for philanthropy, all of you would be surprised. But if I say Jupiter, then none of you would be surprised.
Yeah, Jupiter aspecting moon, maybe for a good mind.
See, all those things are what we call as the smaller algorithms. As I say, I call this method of statistic research that I did as a snapshot method. The moment we see it, bingo, this person should be philanthropic. And then we see the Wikipedia, yes, he is philanthropic. Okay, now let us start this small presentation.
Or one more thing. Or one more thing.
Yes,
the 5th house and the 9th house, for it is helping us as Purva Punya in this life, right?
Definitely.
So this mind of, this 5th house and 9th house strengthness in the chart can also indicate.
Yeah, that is going to be coming up. Yeah, that is part of our discussion today. That is a part of our discussion, and that is where even Jupiter actually fits in, to the scheme of things. Okay. Is there anybody who would like to say something? Shall we start? Guruji, with your kind permission, can we start, Guruji, the presentation? Okay, so I think Guruji is busy.
Stepped away.
Yeah. So anyways, Gurubhyo Namaha, with the blessings of Guruji, with the blessings of God, and the positive energy in the universe, I would like to share my journey, my adventure. Please be a part of the journey, and please also continue the journey. And let me know if there is something that I missed. I would like to correct myself. If there are any mistakes, I am the only person responsible for this. And if there are any good things that came out of this, all credit goes to my mentors and preceptors. So I'm going to share my screen, and Yes. Let me know if the screen is clear and visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So there are words that are being used in our scriptures like charitable and virtuous. Whenever we look at the Lagna lords in the various houses, we see this word, these two words coming up often. Also, I believe there's something called as loved by the king, loved by the public. That's being mentioned in those words, right? In those paragraphs. So these are just important points that we need to remember or keep in mind before we go to the next page. Jupiter rules the two signs, Sagittarius and Pisces. Exaltation is at 5 degrees Cancer. Debilitation is in the sign of Saturn, Capricorn. And Jupiter is the main cause for most yogas, famous, powerful yogas like Gajakesari and Hansa Yoga. Now let's go to the next page. The Karaka for Jupiter, there are many important Karakas given for Jupiter. Jiva Karaka, Dhana Karaka, Dharma Karaka, Jnana Karaka, Putra Karaka, and Shubha Karaka. Is there anything that comes up in your minds other than these?
Wisdom.
Wisdom?
Gnana.
Yeah, that is mentioned. That is mentioned, no? Jnana Karaka. Anything else? Does Kalatra Karakan also apply for Jupiter? Spouse, husband, for the female native? Okay. Construction of temples, schools, colleges, universities, charitable institutions, hospitals, temples will all come under the purview of Jupiter. Anything that I missed? Of course, there are many things, but anything important that comes in your mind? Now, there's a question I'd like to ask. Why does Jupiter have directional strength in the first house? Is it there for a reason? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Jupiter shows guidance, and first house is house of self.
Okay. Does it have anything to do with Jupiter's special drishti or special aspects?
On the 5th and 9th, right? Yeah. It's in the first and giving aspect to 5th and 9th houses.
Okay.
The Pura Punya houses, yeah.
Yeah, 5, 7, and 9, right? The most important houses for the chart.
Yeah. And being in the first house, it's also the important one, yeah.
Okay. So if the Jupiter is well placed in the natal chart, say in the 5th or 5th house, then it looks at the 9th house. And one more thing that I would like to point out is that even the 11th house has come into reckoning. Anybody would want to say why? Why is Jupiter's connection to the 11th house considered? Pawniji?
It gives aspect on 5th, direct aspect on 5th.
Yeah, but why is the 11th house coming inside our discussion today?
Charity, man. You mean charity, right?
Yeah.
Aspect.
Yeah. So the person.
House of gains.
Yeah, Labha. So the person who has a very good 11th house, we could say that he is well endowed to do charity, right? So that also comes into consideration. Okay, now before we go to the next chart, or the next page, something I would like to say is that what I discovered was by just skimming the surface. And even that itself was amazing. So let me take you to that page. This is the crux of today's discussion, the seed, the summary, in fact. The first thing I observed is Jupiter in Aries is seen to provide a philanthropic nature, being, of course, the Kalapurusha Lagna. And not only is it just the placement of Jupiter in Aries, but also Jupiter in Aries in multiple Varga charts. That also seems to be a strong candidate for philanthropy. Here, I'm not talking about the house, I'm talking about the sign, the Rasi. The next observation that I came through was about the dignity of Jupiter. The higher it gets in multiple charts, the person will engage in philanthropy or charitable deeds in a big way. The degree of philanthropy is directly proportional to the number of Vargas with high dignity of Jupiter. These are the three important observations that came out of the charts that were perused. Any questions so far? Okay. So let's go to the next important page and we'll take off from there. So this is the snapshot method of determining charitable and philanthropic nature of a native based on Jupiter's dignity and placement. So first condition is that when we talk about dignity, of course, its own sign or exaltation. The next point is its connection to the 5, 9, and the 11th. That is, the 5th and 9th are the trikonas, and the 11th gets thrown in for additional, we could say, reason or a factor. And then 1, 4, 7, 10. Now, this is a strange thing I saw. 5, 9, Jupiter's link to 5, 9 is more predominantly seen rather than 1, 4, 7, 10. In terms of volume of philanthropy. Next, as I already mentioned, was a strange thing wherein Jupiter in Mesha seems to be coming up frequently. Jupiter connected with Saturn sometimes. Why? Saturn is another slow-moving graha, a powerhouse. So when they get connected in a benefic way, in a beneficial way, then the philanthropy really kicks in. The next thing that I observed in those charts where Jupiter is not seen fulfilling these above criteria, I saw for sure that there is a parivartana of Jupiter. And there is something, a concept called as a Shrinkala Parivartana or a relay Parivartana, which is different from the normal Parivartana. In normal Parivartana, 2 grahas are involved. In Shrinkala, 3 grahas are involved. So A has Parivartana with B, B has Parivartana with C, and C has Parivartana with A. So that was the concept of Shrinkala Parivartana, or what I termed as relay Parivartana. And if none of these things are seen, then Vargotam Jupiter. Jupiter is in the same place in most of the charts. And sometimes I've seen Jupiter in the 12th house, or the house of sharing, in good dignity in some cases. Now, why are we seeing these parameters, so many parameters? Because when we look at either the level of philanthropy or the frequency of philanthropy, that is the volume, the frequency, and the number of people it has impacted, and in what way it has impacted the people. All these are connected with the criteria. So if a person has donated huge sums of money and he has donated it frequently and he's donated it to different places and different organizations, we will call that as the highest level of philanthropy. If a person, like I think Gunaji said that in the earlier discussion, what is the point of donating when you're on your deathbed, right? That comes as one layer down. One, I would say, of course, the philanthropy is still a philanthropy, but if you had to grade it with the other acts, then it comes second or third in the list. Okay, let me know if there's anything that we need to discuss at this point before I go into the charts.
Maybe you have already mentioned one. Jupiter is we use the term expanding in relation with Jupiter, right?
Yes, yes, it's expansive graha.
So with this charity, you're saying all the time, huge, the word. So yes. It matches the point. Maybe yes. you already mentioned it. Yeah.
So the energy of Jupiter, the sattvic energy, tends to overflow. You know, if the native's chart is so powerful, if it has this quality of Jupiter in multiple charts, that energy tends to overflow. It tends to radiate. Okay. So shall we go into the first chart reading?
One quick question.
Yeah.
Can we talk one bit about the quality of charity when given in deathbed versus done in the lifetime? Like, how are we trying to say one is better than the other, or what is kind of the gradation that we are talking about in that scenario?
Yeah, I came across a few charts where the donation was done on the verge of the last period of death, at the time of death, and that came as a realization because of the suffering that the person underwent in the last stage. For example, a person suffered through cancer and then he realized that I need to donate for research, cancer research. So that charity was seen, the philanthropic act was seen, but it was not as strongly seen as in the other philanthropic charts.
So basically the cause being originating from suffering.
Yeah, see, it's like this. I'm not saying that these are absolute. Okay, I'm not saying that. But these come out as very strong criteria, to be sure that philanthropic act has been done by the native.
If I may say,
yes, please. Yes, please.
There is no comparison here. Sweet is sweet in either way. But the first one is when you participate in it, it refines you in this current life. Second, also, it may give us a chance to amplify, inspire people along the way by good, virtuous life and acting. That's the best way that we can inspire people to amplify. That is the benefit of doing it, not waiting all the way up to the end. Second thing, in your line items that you have in the slides, the distinction between Mesha and then Saturn is the same thing. Saturn is about, you can be pretty quiet and exercising your own sets of rules and ethical values in the background. You can be helping a lot of people. Mesham is about not only you do it, you can command a bunch of people to put together a team. Like someone said earlier, organize a GoFundMe page, do communications and all that kind of thing. And I was kind of wondering why you did not have Mercury here. Mercury is at the heart of it, spontaneous perception. Perceptive skills come from Mercury. Why are we not considering Mercury as a factor?
Okay, so as I told you, this journey started when I saw a pattern in a particular chart, and then I saw the same pattern repeating in multiple charts, multiple natives. Okay. Now, I did not see the same frequency of, in fact, before going to Mercury, I was even speculating about moon, the nature of moon, because moon being the manokaraka, could be that the mind has to be sattvic, mind has to be well endowed with sattvic energy or sattvic thoughts to sympathize with others and then to create that act of philanthropy. But there, I was not able to find the pattern.
Okay.
Okay,
Every
that is one thing.
religion has, most comparative religions have the same dialogue, even within our Indian context. We have gone through this, including Mahatma Gandhi's dialogues. Karma versus faith. I mean, faith is important, and of course, people acting on principles. But karma is about putting that into action, right? And these are two distinctions. Good altruism and doing it in the background is one thing by simply living your own life. The second one is to leading it, people, and doing it in action, but in a much more effective way. That was to just answer the previous question.
Yeah, there was another observation that I experienced, and let me share that with you. That would be actually probably opening another research field. At first, I did not give importance to the wealth aspect. I was only giving importance to the nature. And then I searched for the triggers in saintly charts. People who have been anointed by the Pope or people who have been considered as saintly people. When I looked at their charts, and of course the charts were AA rated charts. So when I looked at their charts, I found that the connection of wealth was not there. So that was strange, isn't it?
Then virtuous, maybe you can find virtuous.
That was there. Virtuous was there and all those things were there, but it was not connected with the 10th or the 9th or, the second house. In fact, it was on the contrary, it was going away from those things.
Yeah, this 8th Lord in the 12th, it will give that nature.
Yeah. So that act of philanthropy was not through material or, a help towards other people, but it was more of, virtuous thoughts and all those things. In fact, in one native, the lifespan was very short. I think it was around 23 or 24 years of age. And she was baptized or she was canonized after her death. And of course, it takes a long process, right, to canonize. They have to be certified as miracles caused by them, and then they were canonized. And when I saw their charts, of course, that act of philanthropy was missing. That algorithm was missing there. Likewise, let me narrate an incident, a very strange incident. When I was collecting these charts, I came across, I was cataloging all the date, time, and place of these charts in a particular document. And then as I was feeding the charts into my astrology software, I suddenly found that none of the parameters were working. None of them was working. And I said to myself, how is this possible? This is like, a totally contradicting chart. How come this person has been philanthropic? Can anybody guess what would have happened? There was no technical problem. The date, time, place, everything was fed correctly. What could be the problem? The problem was that this person was not connected with philanthropy. But the DTP, the data came inside. I don't know how it came inside. There was a glitch. There was no mention of philanthropy in his life. Then I said, oh, this is a proof of concept. Then I became confident. Said, yeah, okay, let's stick to our stand. And then as the charts kept progressing, I was able to see repetitive patterns, repetitive patterns, which I think will also be seen today in some of the charts that we're going to see. So is there any questions? Shall we go to the charts? Okay, now before I go into it, there was a suggestion by Guruji that we need to do this format of presentation today. If that could be interesting, I mean that could be really interesting. So he said, please ask people to raise their hands to see the connection in the charts, so that we can ascertain and we can also come to a conclusion. Yes, this works. So I would request every one of you to participate, not to take a back seat and just be a passive observer, but try to become an active observer or be a part of this experiment. Okay. So as I go into the next chart, I would like you to focus on the aspects of these aspects of Jupiter, these points that I've discussed. So here comes chart number 1. Right. Very famous name. Does anybody know that he's got a nickname? What's his nickname?
The Rock.
Yes. Please look at D1, D9, then go to D7, D10, and then go to the D3 and D60. And let me give you a small
Hey,
word of
Kishore,
caution.
if you have the birth details, if you can share that, I can draw
No,
it in
I'm
the
planning to
North
give
Indian way.
I'll give you that. I'm planning to give all the details in a PDF, but for now, I'll have to give it, I'll have to only share the name, Kasiji. Oh, yeah, I think I can give it to you. Yeah, I think that document is there.
Yeah, just give me
I'm
that
comfortable
date,
with
time,
that.
and
I'll
place.
give you the entire list, actually. I'll give you the
Because-
entire list of...
No, because that way I can draw the North Indian way. That's
Yeah, sure. Just give me a few seconds, a few minutes. Okay, anybody wants to speak on Dwayne Johnson's chart?
Yeah, this the 11th Lord, the 12th Lord.
Please you go in this order, Pavniji. D1, D9, D7, D10, then D3 and D60.
The D1.
You can just mention Guru Swagrahi, 4th house, like that.
No, I'm focusing on this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this Moon and Jupiter are together. I don't know.
Please don't go into the specifics, Pavniji, because we need to see a lot of charts. If you go into the specifics, then we'll have to figure out all the other things. Please only keep Jupiter in mind.
The 12th Lord in the 8th. Not many.
Not even lordships. Please look at Jupiter.
So you want only Jupiter?
Yeah, where is Jupiter placed? Is the dignity of Jupiter good?
Okay, it's there.
Yeah, mostly own charts and Aries, Mesha sign.
Okay.
Jupiter is in Kendra, at least 3 of them, 3 of the charts, house number 4 or 7. And also Jupiter as well as Mars, both happening to be in 4 and 10, happens to give that drive that as I was saying earlier, Purvam, Uttram, both needs to conjunct. That comes out very well. And in your chart earlier, you put 2 slides ago, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mesham vis-a-vis Mars. If we look at it that way, Saturn in the 9th, again in couple of charts, one in D9 and another in D1. That's a very well-placed Prakriti to be able to deliver, to be able to have the Artha, to be able to deliver.
Okay. Okay, so let me give a brief snapshot. In D1, it is in the 4th in own sign. In D9, it is in the Lagna, the 1st house. In D7, it is in the 7th in own sign, Swagrahi. In D10, it is in the 4th in Mesha. Yeah. In D3, it is in 12th, again in Mesha. And in D60, it is in the 5th in Rishabha with exalted moon. This makes him as one of the biggest philanthropic actors, and one who has been keeping philanthropy in the main as a main priority.
Kishore, even today, Jupiter is in Pisces in its own sign.
Wow. Thank you, Kasiji. I needed that.
And Jupiter is almost stationary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in a day, it's going to be stationary, and those
Okay.
are auspicious days.
So does it, I mean, is it so far so good? Shall we go to the next one? There are some names which I have not been familiar with, but they came up as philanthropic natives. Please look at this. Anybody wants to comment? And just do it casually. I mean, there's nothing to be specific about it. Just look at the placement of Jupiter. That's all. Or do you want me to read it up? I can do it. Okay. So in D1, it is a Swagrahi. In D9, in the 7th. In D7, it's in 10th, Parivartana with Saturn. In D10, there's a strange thing. There's a Shrinkla Parivartana with Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. In D3, it is in 2nd in own sign, Sagittarius. In D60, it is in the 11th. Let's go to the next chart. So I will stop only if people, if you're going to say something, otherwise I'll be going forward. Another philanthropic person. And let's go into the details if anybody wants to. In 11th, in 9th, owns sign. In 12th, own sign. In Lagna, own sign. In 11th, Vargotam. In 12th, with the Bhava Lord himself. Any doubts? Right. This name needs no introduction. Please go through the chart. I'll give you 1 minute and then we'll do the reading. Find out all the good things you can about Jupiter. If anybody feels that some algorithm is not fitting in, please let me know. Right. In D1, 9th, own sign with the Lagna Lord and the 10th Lord. Amazing, right? In D9, it is in the 7th, aspecting the Lagna. In D10, it is in the 3rd, aspecting the 7th, 9th, and the 11th house. In D7, it is in Lagna. In D3, it is in the 5th, aspecting the 9th and the 11th, and the Lagna. In D60, it is in the 10th. Next. Another big name. Please take a look at the chart. Charts, rather. I'm pretty sure somebody would have noticed something odd with the D10 by now. Anybody would like to say why it works? Pavaniji?
Yeah, this. I don't know whether we can say or not, but the 12th Lord in the.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mean in D10?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, so
not.
it looks like Jupiter in the 8th house seems to be a parameter that's not fitting in, right?
It's
Jupiter
with
and
a
Saturn
planet
has
that
become-
is in exchange.
Dispositor of the planet in exchange.
Jupiter and Saturn has an aspect there.
Okay. Okay. What I noticed was that in D10, though it is in the 8th, it is aspected by the Lagna Lord. Point number 1, somebody mentioned that. Second thing is that it is Vargotam. So these are the small things that the hurdles that came across. You know, when I was doing it, I was wondering, why is it working here? Such a big philanthropic name. Why is this D10 not showing up? And then I saw suddenly that it is Vargotam. Remember one of the algorithms that we mentioned was that it should be Vargotam?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, right. Let's go to the next one. Another big name, another big philanthropic act or acts. Please take some time before I ask some questions. Because these are the questions that I was struggling to answer. And I thought, okay, let me share that agony with all of you. I mean, if you're a part of sharing my happiness, you should also share my agony, right? I am assuming that everybody knows who this is, right?
Yes.
There are some names who I did not know, and then I had to refer them to Wikipedia. So anybody would like to comment on these charts? Going forward, I would require somebody to be actively participating. It can be different people or the same person. Somebody who would like to volunteer.
Most of the time, Jupiter is here, Vargotam.
Okay.
Most of in many charts.
8th house.
Yes. Please speak up, everybody. In turns.
Maybe it is in the beginning of beginning degree of Jupiter. That's why it is.
Oh, okay. For this chart, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's one of the reasons. Yeah, one of the reasons.
Jupiter is in Aries.
Very good. Good catch. And Vargotam, right?
Yeah.
That's a double, right?
It is.
Okay.
Jupiter has a Parivartana in D60.
Yep. That was the question I was about to ask. I was about to say, okay, in D60 it's not working. What's the catch? Okay, right. Shall we go to the next one? Okay.
Kishoreji, but on the Parivartana, I used to hear Guruji somewhere saying it mostly works in negative way rather than positive. Might be this is an exception, probably.
Yeah, it could be. I see. The thing is, I have not seen a few things in most of these charts. For example, I have not seen Tula Lagna actually, wherein Jupiter is considered as malefic. So that was an observation that even till this morning when I was speaking with Guruji also, I did not make that observation, and even he is not aware of it, that I made this. So, and then I was reading across in a book, and for Tula, Jupiter is the most malefic, or probably not working for Tula. And then when I quickly ran through all the charts, I saw, oh my God, there's no Tula Lagna. It's not like I'm saying that Tula Lagna people are not charitable or philanthropic, but somewhere there is a disparity between Jupiter and Tula Lagna. I don't know. Other things are also there to be probed. Now, there are
The Jupiter and Tula. Sorry, is that like a observation somewhere in some
no?
book,
Even in that... these, no. These are the observations from these data set that I have. That there is no Tula Lagna. Yeah, there's no Tula Lagna.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, that is also another proof of concept, I guess. I don't know. It could be like a stack-up proof of concept. So what I basically did, I'm going to show you this part of the presentation also, which I kept hidden. If you could see on the right side, I've listed all those stack-up significators. In D1, where is it? In D9. If you could see all the numbers, they are repeating in most of the charts. Not most, I would say 99% of the charts. And wherever it was not fitting in, I saw that there was a Parivartana or it was a Vargottama. And very rarely when it doesn't fit in, it means that the person's philanthropic act was not something that was so huge. Would you like to see this screen also? The second page along with the charts, or would you like to do the readings first and then look at the second page? Pavniji? Gunaji?
Yeah.
Kasiji? Would you like to see even this part of the page where I made the notes? Or do you think it would be, because I started off with this actually. In my initial search, I started like this. So I wanted to convey that same thrill,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it would be really, it would linger long in memory if you did this discovery and you had this joy of finding, oh, wow, wonderful. And this throws open a lot of other things that are coming up in our minds, especially what if we could do the same sort of research with Saturn or Venus? Let's go to the next one. Shall we move on? Is there anybody who wants to stay here in this chart? Okay. People, please participate. Only then we can learn. Otherwise, it's not going to be easy. We are all going to be like, they say bathroom singers. We are going to be only learning astrology inside our own closed circle. And this is a closed circle. So nothing to fear, nothing to be scared.
So how do we explain D7 here? So it's the second.
Parivartana with Mercury. Parivartana with Mercury.
With Mercury.
So these are the type of questions that I had. Good catch.
Jupiter is with dignity in most of the charts.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we go to the next one? Gunaji, I hope you're catching up. I mean, is the speed at a comfortable pace, or you want me to slow down?
It's fine. I'm just grasping. Okay. Remember, I'm kind of a newcomer to the group, although it has been a year. I came straight into the advanced group.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm
So
observing.
I would be actually sending a PDF to Guruji with a bit more material thrown in, and probably you could actually do it as a leisure also.
Yes, yes.
Okay?
This is
That is-
very interesting. One other thing that I would say that, especially when you made a remark on the Tula, it kind of intrigued something for me, that the type of Saturn type of people perhaps work from the background. They don't show up outside, and it could very well mean that,
it is not publicized, right? The act was
that's
not
number
publicized.
one. And number two, they may not be financially well-to-do people.
It could
they
be
may
that they have done philanthropy by way of spending time.
And then they impact others to do it.
Yes, yes. Good motivators, probably.
Because it's fairness, right? That
Definitely,
is
definitely.
Empathy side for them, it is given.
Yeah, I think we'll have to take Guruji's help in that question, actually, because I'm not sure about why Tula and Jupiter are not linking in this small data set, actually. Okay.
Or we can. I mean, if we want to talk about the other planets and the relation with charity, we can also connect the Panchamaha-Purusha yogas for those planets and the persons having them, and whether they are charitable or not.
Yeah, see, definitely there are a lot of good signs in the chart, which I have not dwelled down, actually. I have not talked about those things. I'm leaving it to all of you to do an independent research on this, and to come up with why they were successful in the profession or what made them wealthy. Most of the time there was a connection. According to what Guruji saw, he said that most of the time the connections are for wealthy chart. So when the wealth was seen, instantly the philanthropic act was also huge, actually. As I told you, I was also looking at the saintly charts, the people who are the nuns, we call the saints, right? So even their charts, there was no connection with wealth, actually. But that doesn't mean that they did not have philanthropic acts, but it was more connected with the nature rather than money.
Yeah, they give the good advice to the right people, and then the others take care of it, right? And but in order to have that Saraswati in your tongue and the respect and the good way of saying what should you advise to whom, that is their impact.
Kishore, I have one question.
For example, the people who work as volunteers.
Volunteers, yeah. They give their time, right?
Yes.
So when they're giving time, that is also an important thing, because they say time is money which cannot be earned back. So that is even bigger, actually. Yes, Pavaniji, you were saying something?
Nothing. Just volunteer part.
Yeah. Okay.
Kishore, I have one doubt.
Yes.
So this discrepancy that you mentioned with Tula Lagna, did you also notice the same thing with Rishabha Lagna also?
Maybe I'll give it a try and see. I'm not sure. Because it should happen there also, right?
Yeah.
No, the reason I was not able to see that is because I didn't focus on that.
No, but the charts we have seen, some of the charts, there is Jupiter in Tula, in Vrishabha.
No, we're talking about Rishabha Lagna.
Oh, Lagna. Okay.
Yeah.
But Jupiter considers Venus as enemy. The Lagna Lord is enemy to Jupiter.
No, but Venus is neutral to Jupiter, right?
Is it? Oh, okay. But some of the charts that I have seen, Jupiter's placement in Tula Lagna, they had difficulties in life.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, Tula Lagna and Jupiter did not make its presence felt in this list of charts. Probably it's, I should see the extended list, the ones that I'm not showing today. I would go through that also and see if there was this connection between Rishabha, Tula, and Jupiter. I mean, if it's like 1 in 100, then I would consider that as a rarity, almost like a no, right? Okay, shall we go to the next one? Are these names familiar to most of you? Is there anyone who found all the names familiar?
Not all of them.
Okay.
So, but many of them I can recognize the names and who they are, but their specific role in charity, not. So now I'm realizing that Paul Newman, yes, because I lived in Syracuse area and he has done fantastic work in Saratoga Springs.
Yeah. In fact, I did not have much space on the page. Otherwise, I would have included even Chaturamsha. And that also was there. And then there were other charts like D20 and D27. So I thought of including that in the software sharing. But to keep the long story short, I just made a short, brief presentation of just 6 charts. I mean, 6
So
Varga
how do you
charts.
explain D1 in this one? D1, there's
In the second. D1 in the second, aspecting. Good aspects. See, in some cases, this is a good time to say this point, that when there is a small conflict somewhere with the algorithms, it only shows that this person's philanthropic act was not so huge. Probably they would have done a fundraising thing, or they would have done, it's more like a media publicity. I would not specifically name this person or this chart, but there was also a talk about media people doing charity. Some, okay, I'm emphasizing the word some people who are in the list of celebrities, or who would want to be in the list of celebrities, would take this act of philanthropy, the publicized philanthropy, to be, a springboard to fame, right? That would become publicized. And I saw that also, actually.
So, Kishore in most of your analysis, you find Jupiter in 2, 5, and 9.
1, 5, 9 and 11.
Leads 1, 5, 9 and
11, along with the Kendras, 1, 4, 7, 10. Now, when you see them in the Kendras, 1, 4, 7, 10, it also shows that there is a lot of material aspect coming up. I mean, 1, 4, 7, 10, I keep using 1 as a repetitive thing, but in 4, 7, 10, there is a lot of material gains that we see because of that. And that is how it got connected with philanthropy. So it is like, you need to find that balance. Now, before I go to the next chart, let me tell you one thing, since you asked this question. I'm seeing a lot of charts where none of these are fulfilled.
Yeah, the reason I asked Kishore is I'm just thinking about Karako Bhavanasti thing, whether that was also applicable when you were analyzing these charts. So
yeah, but that was only for the life Karakattvas, right? We're talking about the nature. The life Karakatva is like Karako Bhavanashi for the husband or the wife. That's the meaning of Karako Bhavanashi. But it doesn't destroy the materials aspects, right? The blessing of material blessing will be there. That will not be destroyed.
Okay, I was thinking or understood, like if that lord is, for example, second lord Jupiter, right? Or Jupiter, so that will destroy that.
No. That is not something to be applied in all the cases.
Yeah.
That is my understanding. Just my understanding, and I would probably be wrong, but maybe the seniors can correct me on that.
Absolutely. And for example, if Jupiter in 5th means it's a Santana Karaka or something, right? So it may play a spoil sport or something.
Definitely.
I'm not sure.
But the other aspects of 5th house, that I'm talking about those other things, which are not connected with living beings, that will not get destroyed. That is what I understood.
Absolutely. Yeah, agree.
So Kishore, one chart in this Rene is D1 chart not meeting, except for aspect on 9th house, is not meeting any of the other parameters, right?
Yes, yes.
That is the only thing.
So there are some charts which are going to come up, which will have some glitches in the algorithms. They say glitch in the matrix, right? Like that. So when we look into the publicized life, we see that there is some diminishing quality of philanthropy. Okay, so let me share this other page also with you. Yeah. So here, if you see, he took part in a prevention campaign. Okay, he's a very famous person, by the way. I forgot to mention what field he was in. And he is also one of the patrons who lend their name. This is one thing I want to tell you. The celebrities, they give their name in support of an organization, right? To Gender Equality Foundation, the great initiative in 2011. And then she visited Liberia with the charity. So it's got connected. Okay. The name gets connected. And then in April 2011, she collaborated with Tommy Hilfiger to design a handbag to raise money and awareness for the Breast Health Institute. Now, did you notice the difference in this philanthropic act? It was more of the name, right? It was not involving the riches. You see the disparity here?
How fascinating this is, right? The D1 and Navamsha alone tell you that this is like a, if I may say so, like grade 2 kind of chart for philanthropy, right? That's amazing.
And also here, please consider Jupiter in Aquarius as being almost in the own house. I guess that is there is some connection between Jupiter and Aquarius rather than Capricorn. Jupiter in Capricorn is nature, but Jupiter in Aquarius is actually happy. Okay, but astrological reasons I don't remember yet at the moment, but I just came across this in some place. And in D9, there's once again this Shrinkla Yoga that you see, right? Navamsha. So you see this with Saturn and Venus. Shall we go to the next one? A lot of parivartanas will be seen here.
Rishabha Lagna, as someone was asking.
Yeah, and there's a strange story about this native. I remember this because even I was like, wondering why the significators are not seen that clearly or that emphasizing. So I just checked his background,
Can you give some background about this person?
There was actually a blemish on his act. There was some tarnish to his reputation because of some misappropriation of funds or something, and it's not something that we can, have a clean slate. There was some involvement there. There's no smoke without fire, right?
Yeah, I'm just curious because of Kedu in 12th. So
yeah,
I was asking.
Yeah, Ketu in 12th and the Lord of the 12th is debilitated.
Yeah. At the end of the day, a parivartana is actually not as strong as own house, right? We can't directly compare it. Strange case coming up. Please look at the chart.
Okay, Tula Lagna at last.
There is a twist in the story. Somebody was asking about Tula Lagna, right? Was it Anuji?
That was me, Jitesh.
Okay. There are some disparities, right? See, the moment we see a disparity, the moment we see a disparity, or the moment we see something is not fitting in, then we should not search for some self-fulfilling things. Could be this or could be that, Of course, there is an indication that some problem is seen in the degree of philanthropy or even the act of philanthropy itself. Yes, you were saying something?
So D1 itself, it's like, I don't see combinations that you mentioned earlier.
Good.
Jupiter with Moon together, it's good.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll come to the twist in the story. Please read the notes, and there's something important that I need to tell you. It was not this person directly, but it was his extended family, extended community of staff, colleagues, and family members that created the foundation in his name from public monies and private donations to give grants to non-profits and educational institutions. Now, if you think that this is not seen in the chart, I was looking at the second house where this extended community of staff, colleagues, and all of them, that part of it is linked there. If you take Chandra Lagna, then Jupiter is in the Lagna.
And it is Paurnami.
Oh, okay. So this person was not directly involved with philanthropy, but his name was connected with philanthropy. And this was after his death, posthumous Gunaji. Does it ring a bell?
Yeah, this goes with the kind of hint I had earlier that these people may inspire others.
Exactly.
Through their hard work and steadfast fairness around them all the time, and that just makes them, I had a professor like that. His book was published, foundational work in signal processing, 13 languages. My God. And anytime he got award for recognition, he would just turn it around and make it as a student scholarship foundation.
Wow.
And he lived all the way until 99 or 98, something like that.
And even one more thing, when we see this dignity of Jupiter, we also see that most of these natives are having above average lifespan, most of them. Probably it has to do with the dignity of Jupiter, I guess. Should we say he's also the Ayur Karagan or something? Okay.
Sorry, can you go back to the previous one? The Saptamsha. How do we explain Saptamsha?
In 12th.
Okay. 12th also is one part of your criteria.
Sharing. Okay. But very rarely, okay? We see that happening very rarely in Saptamsha. And moreover, it is Vargotam also. Right? It's repeating in D1, D7, Drakan. And even here, when you see that there is some conflict, then right away you can see that the act of charity is not as a high scale. Please keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that that act is not there. It is there, but it is at a different level compared to the previous charts.
I have one follow-up question to that.
The previous one?
If any of no, not in general for this situation, right? If you saw like any of their charts before they had done charity, would then you be looking at the dasha and the antadashas in which they might do charity, given that now?
Yeah. So that is one experiment that that Sai did with me. He gave a chart of a very well-known person. I would not be able to reveal that name because he is a part of our Guruji's links. I mean, he's student and very, very well-known. Okay. And when I saw the chart, it was like ticking all the right boxes. Come to see, he has done philanthropic acts, but he's also been on the wrong side. How would you explain that?
Maybe chart of Robin Hood, probably.
I know, it's not like that. I mean, there are things that... Yeah. So there are, I mean, this is purely based on Jupiter and purely based on philanthropic acts. So it is, I would say it is like a lottery for me because I was able to get all the right hits within, in fact, we are going to see another probably 2 more charts. I'm not sure if I've reached the end. So, but the scale of work that I did was reaching around 100 charts. Almost all of them had this. And the ones that did not have this were not philanthropists. The ones that had partly were part philanthropists. I hope you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, some of them may be the prarabdha karma that they are paying back what they took for. I mean, took meaning they received and they were not thankful. Therefore, they are giving back. That may not have an amplifying effect.
Maybe.
You are just paying back what you did not do it in the previous life.
Yeah. But the reason what the factor that motivated me to do this research was that I was keeping on getting positives. I was getting positive signals for all the charts. It's something like somebody tells you a combination for a lottery that you go into this particular number, sequence of numbers, you will definitely get money. And then all of a sudden you see that those sequences are getting money, rewarded with money. Wouldn't that be magical? Adventurous, mysterious, inspiring.
Yeah.
And then you'll say, no, come on. One day, okay, let's say you got 10 charts, you got all of them hits properly, either a positive proof of concept or negative proof of concept. Both ways it works. And then you say, okay, another day you wake up, okay, probably yesterday was a lucky day. Let's try again today. Again, you got the same thing. You did this for a week and then you became so convinced that, okay, fine. We have reached something, right? We have discovered something. And then suddenly you show it to your friend and he's not convinced. He says, okay, try with these charts. You try with those charts, point blank, you can tell they are not philanthropists. Some of them, they have done philanthropic acts. And then there is this chart which I told you about, this person. He has done a huge, the level of philanthropy, all the right boxes are being ticked. And then on top of that, he's also landing up in the wrong side of the law.
That's where the distinction. No, we are on an infinitely long chain of lives after lives, and we are seeing one just window.
Yeah.
One way to explain is that some people are truly paying forward. They create the good, virtuous system.
That is what exactly Guruji was saying. He said that to do this, why is 5-9 connected with charity? Why is Jupiter connected with 5-9? And why is 11 connected? So the point that Guruji said is that unless you have accumulated that much of Purva Punya, you will not be able to spread it around.
Yes. And then for some people where we see obvious markers that, hey, they are doing right thing, that as I said earlier, they're paying back. That's a part of the karmic debt, right? I mean, meaning if they were in the receiving end of good will from others, instead of their life carrying a debt for all the time, in this life, they, in a muted way, they give it back. Therefore, it may appear to us, hey, there's this like Renee Zellweger that you were showing. Yeah, she's giving it back, but not necessarily at the level that amplifies like everybody else.
Okay. Now, one more thing that suddenly struck me, it was there in my mind, but I forgot. But now suddenly it came back to the forefront. When we spoke about charity, philanthropy, and all that, and donations, did anybody actually remember that our rishis were giving this acts of charity as a remedy for many of the ailments, blemishes? Why?
You must have taken from in the previous.
So it means it goes to say that this is something that's connected with your past life karma. Right? See, the act of charity is a noble deed. So is not speaking lies, not killing anyone, bigamy. Probably, I mean, it all depends, right? There are so many things that we consider as bad and so many things we consider good. But why was only charity given as mainstream remedial measure? Which shows that there is a connection. You took something in your past lives in a big way, and that's the reason why the rishis have told you to do something in a big way. The bigger the karmic damage, the bigger is your donation. Right? Do we see the connecting between the dots?
Yes, I mean, not only that, if they have repented it, then it may, we don't need always a teacher to come and tell you to put you in the right path. If Guru's blessings have been there, you will go to the right place where you will be instructed.
Yeah,
and
the real Guru.
There, even when some people advise you, you just ignore it. People like the native ignores it.
Yeah. So that is why getting a good Guru is also a blessing. To be born as a human being is a blessing. To receive a good, decent standard of life, quality of life is a blessing. To get good teachers and mentors is a blessing. To be having a good mind to follow those teachings is a blessing. To be wealthy and to be able to impact people comes as a cream, right? As a French word, I don't know how to pronounce it. It goes crème de la crème. Or crème de la crème, I don't know.
Crème de la crème.
Right. In D7, there is a disparity here. Anybody noticed it?
D7?
This one.
12th Lord in 8.
Jupiter in the 8th house. And also
conjunct with the 8th Lord.
Yeah.
12th Lord in the 8th. Was it Viparit?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
12th Lord in the 8th is charitable and
Yeah, a lot of things
virtuous
are
and wealthy.
This native, there is a twist here. This native and his wife both have become best known philanthropists, giving millions of dollars each year to Boston public high schools, as well as hundreds of thousands of other grants to other programs in the schools. And as a teacher herself, this native's wife, her name is Pam, she tutors pupils and buys clothes for college for those who are not able to afford. This native, at his age of 40, he was worth $674 million. He became super rich overnight because he went public, the shares. And then he became a huge philanthropic. Probably this is like a rags to riches story, I suppose. And did you see that Jupiter is Vargotam in most of the charts? Right. This native, can anybody tell me who he is without Googling? Nobody. Okay. He's the founder of eBay. Personally, he's worth $3 billion. And both he and his wife donate to charity. And what's unique about this person is that he has vowed to give away all but 1% of their fortune for the next 20 years. For 20 years. All good, I suppose.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows the name, right? JP Morgan. And a small background to this chart native is that not only money, he has also spent his fortune on art, actually. He's donated to art. He's donated to hospitals, medical education funds, churches, cultural institutions. One of the richest millionaire ever born in US.
So in D1, it is in 6th, right?
Yeah, exalted.
Yeah. Right. I missed that.
Try to catch me on the wrong foot, please.
I must say that, given that you have, started with a framework, our eyes are only going to that framework. I'm sure the
Pardon?
charts, given that you have given us that framework, right? Our eyes are just, going to that framework. And I'm sure there are many other kind of great things in these charts.
Definitely. Guruji has told me to do this presentation first to get the algorithm vouched by all of us, to as they say, submitting a PhD and getting the approval from all my learned seniors and friends. And then, the joy of discovering this, I'm pretty sure all of you are actually surprised and happy, the same happiness that I felt at seeing that something is working in this chaos.
Absolutely.
Such a complex thing. Such a complex thing seems to fit, right? Yes.
Kishore, one more thing to notice is D1 it is in 6th, D10 it is in 6th.
Yeah, and, I just mentioned that it is exalted in D1.
D60 also it is in 6th.
Mesha.
Yeah. What I'm saying is the 6th house is so strong here for Jupiter.
I don't know why, but this person is known as the most richest person actually. And you had heard of JP Morgan, right? JP Morgan, I think they're connected with the shares or funds or equities or what, I don't know. Very famous name in the economic world, JP Morgan.
JP Morgan.
Yeah, the whole JP Morgan.
Jupiter is in the D, in the Bhava chart. We don't know, right?
No, I've not taken Bhava. And the reason I've not taken Bhava is that, first thing is let me get those snapshots correctly working. Out of 100 charts, if my algorithms are not working in probably 5, then I would say that I am a success. Right? But if it is not working in 50, then it is going to be a failure. So first I got all the... We
cannot say that Jupiter is here in the 6th. That's just I want to say.
Okay. No, for that matter, even the Bhava chart also I have not considered. Even if it is not in the same placement, I have not considered Bhava. Because Guruji once he told me, he told us all that first look at the D1 chart, then go to the Bhava.
Maybe he has this Panchamaha Yoga in the 7th. Jupiter moves to 7th. We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah. But are we not
Sixth
getting
house
these?
is house of service. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
House of service and it's aspecting 12th.
And I believe he has also created funds and he was lending money in the lending business. And 6th house is like money lending, right?
Yeah.
Banks and money lendings and all that.
These were the Gilded Age riches in the late 1800 or very early 1900. They had always, President Roosevelt was going after these guys to make them donate money.
And of course, even I had these doubts. So that's the reason when I went into his Wikipedia page, I found that his philanthropy was more towards art. He spent half his fortune on art, equivalent to around.
Because Venus here is exalted, maybe that's why.
Yeah,
Venus
could
is
be
exalted and it's
Vargotham.
It's also the Rajayoga Karaka for this.
Oh yes. Did you notice the Vargotham in Navamsha and Saptamsha? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, I think many of you would be familiar with the name, Ted Turner. He's also another big gun, in terms of wealth.
Yeah, I think he's the media mogul.
Yep. Right. I was waiting for someone to say that.
So you have some Libra connection here in Navamsha, Jupiter in 11th.
Yeah.
Tula.
We are trying to find something that escapes, right?
Finally, huh?
Yeah, but then Tula was coming into reckoning in D1 only. The main point of our contention, the main contention was about Tula in D1, Tula native, Tula Lagna in the natal chart.
Got it.
I somehow believe that as we go into these Varga charts, the deeper and deeper we go, it only keeps reinforcing, it becomes like a finer confirmation. That is why it is reflecting in all the Varga charts. It's like a high resolution image of this person's internal nature. Okay, I think we have come to the end of today's presentation. With your permission.
What a research, Kishore. Thanks a lot for that.
Oh, you're always welcome. Actually, the best way to thank would be to share, do the same thing with other parameters that you know of. Try to search for it. Even if it doesn't throw up, at least it will make you better, because you will be practicing so many things by staring at these charts, by looking at them, and you would be discovering other things. In fact, like just how I stumbled on Paul Newman's chart, and then now there were other people like there was this Melissa Scott, and then other names that came up. They were all there in my database, and then I found out that everything worked. Huge.
So did you do any, I know this itself is a huge research. Did you look at Dasha Madashas when they actually did donations? Was there any pattern there, or was Jupiter also ruling as Dasha or Antardashas in those? Like something like that?
Then we'll have to actually correlate that with the degree of philanthropy and the impact of philanthropy. These two are two different things. Degree of philanthropy would mean the volume of charity he did, and the impact. How many people he impacted, in what way? Did it improve the life of those people, or did it just improve the knowledge part? Okay, so there are those fine tunings will happen there. When you look at the Dasha, Antardasha, and then you look at the placement of Jupiter, and what is that placement trying to denote, and what sort of a way that placement would have helped other people. Like, for example, a person who is professionally very, very high, then he would have been training other people, right? Or he would have given his name, he would have become famous first, and then he would have given his name for charitable reasons. Like how today's actors are doing it, like Amitabh Bachchan or the so-called Bollywood celebrities. They give their name, they lend their name, and it gets registered there, right? Like Sachin Tendulkar endorsing something. Definitely people will be looking at that act, right? That organization, if some celebrity is connected.
Yep, sounds good.
So, anyways, I'll stop the screen share, and let me know if you have any further questions or.
Yeah, I think we have sufficient compelling
evidence.
Basic group of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So then we probably need to pick, like Kashiji was saying, that pick a bunch of known, like Rockefeller, and there are other people who have really stimulated things.
Rockefeller is already there, and I've already done that research. Let me check it up quickly.
So then
he's a part of the database, actually.
Yeah. We have the story of them in terms of when their turning point in life occurred. So then we can take a look at that Dasa, Guru Dasa, Vimshadari Dasas, etc.
What was the first name of Rockefeller? John, right?
Yeah, John D. Rockefeller.
Was it in 1838 born?
Something like that. They were oil rich from Cleveland area. Yeah.
Oh.
I can do some work and then get back to you. Maybe. Yeah, it's a very interesting.
But for D60, especially, like the time of birth needs to be extremely accurate.
Yes,
like, did we have?
Definitely.
Did you find any issues with that? Given people are like from 1800s.
Yeah. So I first included these people, and then I thought, let me stick to the the current century or the current period of 50 years or 60, 70 years max. And basically, I did that confirmation just to see how far it was stretchable, how long it was applicable. And then when it was not working, I saw that the rating of that chart was not AA. It would be B or something like that. And then when I collected all the details, I made sure I collected only AA rating charts.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Great.
So yeah, Rockefeller's chart is there. Senior, I think his name is John D. Rockefeller Senior. I see his Jupiter is in the 5th house. In Navamsha, it is in the 6th, where the dispositor, the Lagna Lord, is in his own house. And Moon is exalted in that house, by the way. In D7, Jupiter is in the 9th house. In D10, Jupiter is in the 11th. In Swagrahi, own house. In Drekana, Jupiter is in the Lagna. In Shashti Amsa, Jupiter is in the 3rd. This is an odd man out. Probably, it's okay. And in Chaturamsha, Jupiter is in the 2nd. Okay,
So quick question about Drekana, right? You have specifically tuned in on Drekana as one of the important charts here. Is that
No, I showed only these charts because of limitations of space, but I was actually looking at other charts also. For example, Chaturamsha and then D20. And it's just, see, it's something like you get a toy, right? You're a child who's given toys and you want to grab as many toys as possible, right? So when I was doing research and I was getting bombarded with all these positive signs, I thought, okay, why not include this one? Why not include that one? Why not include this one? So this being a widescreen monitor that I have, I was able to include all the charts, almost all the charts that were important. And I saw that the patterns were like, showing up on all the charts. So that was a question that that you two had, right, regarding just Drekana and why Drekana. But let me tell you, it's not just Drekana alone. It was even Chaturamsha, D27, D24, D20, all thrown in. I did not want to go into the non-Parashari Vargas because it was not recommended, right, by Guruji.
Right. I had some, one point in mind specifically for Drekana was like it signifies brotherhood, right?
Signifies also courage.
Courage, yes, absolutely.
Dhairyasthan. So it speaks volumes about the person's ability to go beyond normal limitations. Of course, brother being the living Karaka, there are other things also, like non-living nature.
Yes, brotherhood. I meant brotherhood, like camaraderie, right? In that aspect. Brotherhood means then now you're supporting a bigger organization, right? That's exactly what brotherhood stands for.
Definitely.
Or you can call it like camaraderie. It doesn't have to be male specific. It could be camaraderie.
Yeah, good. In Drekana for Rockefeller, his Jupiter is in the Mesha and Lagna. Not only Mesha, but also in Lagna. Mesha is the Lagna for Drekana.
Okay.
A lot of charts I've missed out actually because I didn't, because of lack of space, lack of time, or probably I just thought, okay, these are enough to get kickstarted on this theory. And
that actually is the point of the concept. Then later we randomly pick and then try to see how often that satisfies.
Yeah, I did that. I was like, I was before presenting. In fact, this was supposed to be happening 2 weeks ago, this presentation, but I was not convinced myself. I said, no, let me check it out first. So I checked it. And when there was a conflict, I found the reason for the conflict. Then again, I took more charts, and then they were all pointing towards something that was magical, actually.
Thank you, Kishorji, for making us part of this journey, magical journey.
No,
truly,
please don't thank me. No, let me tell you one thing. Please don't thank me for sharing this. But if you really want to, thank my effort, then I would suggest all of you, as much as possible, take this up and do it as something to prove that karma works, right? First, we need to be confident. How can you get confidence? See, now today, where I stand today, if people were to show me charts and tell me, can you check if philanthropy works or not for this native, immediately I will be able to give. Right? So these are things that you do first with your, we call it as hands-on experience. It's almost like you're communicating with the higher energies. I'm not able to explain that feeling to people who have not done it, but I'm pretty sure you'll relate to it in other areas. This is magical, actually. And another thing I noticed, parallelly, I was also doing the Putra Bhagya, the promise of Putra in a chart. And there also I was getting amazing results. But I did not complete that because this came up suddenly. So in the near future, probably I'm going to do something connected with the progeny to make it simplistic. You know, I know it's going to be raising a lot of eyebrows, but whatever preliminary investigation I did, you could either answer yes or no. But we don't use the word no for progeny. We just say yes or challenging. And please let me know if there is any anything that that comes up in your mind, you know, some sort of a future topic for research, and we'll work out on that. If anybody wants to do it jointly with me, you're welcome. If anybody wants to suggest something, please let me know. Sheena ji, Anu ji, Jitesh ji, thank you for being here, all of you. A special thanks to Guna ji and Kasi ji. Kasi ji had to leave early for some reason. And Pavani ji, thank you for your valuable inputs. Ramesh ji, all of you. Sridevi ji. Okay. So,
Thank you.
let me sign off with your permission. Guruji, I don't know if he is able to respond, if he is there. Let me text him and see if he's coming.
He's probably busy.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think I'll call him and see. He may be busy, right? Okay, I think we'll have to
Okay, let's
quit now.
close this
Yeah.
with a final prayer, okay?
Yeah, please.
Sarva Mangala Mangalye Sive Sarvartha Sadhihe Saranye Trayambahe Gauri Narayani Namostate.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kishore.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kishore.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gunaji. Hari Om to all of you. Thank you, Guruji, also for this wonderful opportunity.